let's begin by talking a little bit about a time there was conflict. And we're going to start, we'll go into actually working through the entire conflict itself. But I want to look back at times that there was conflict avoidance. And I want to map out together first how you would each respond in that situation. And we'll really sort of play it out. So I don't know if there's a conflict that comes to mind from, maybe years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, quite a ways back. And let's look at like that typical pattern together. And I want to see all the ways that you would cope. And then we'll go into working through the conflicts instead.
Well, I thought of one here at the beginning because when we got married, she is Lisa Sorensen and still is, and I'm Steve Nestor. So she wanted to keep the family name, and so I was a little bit maybe annoyed with that, but okay, I can see the value in that and why she wants to do that, and so I just let it go, and it wasn't a big thing, but now is moving way forward.
Yeah.
Since we did a marriage intensive, she wants to be Lisa Nestor.
Aw,
And
that's
so
really sweet.
the value of that for me, just that she wants to do that, is so special for me. And so the conflict back then,
Yeah.
I didn't think it was conflict,
Yeah.
but as I think about looking back,
You felt a certain way.
there was, yeah.
Excellent.
And why don't you want to take my name? But we didn't have that much of a discussion about it because I just accepted.
You would both feel and then kind of drift.
Yeah. And I would accept that, okay, she's got a reason for this and it's a legitimate reason, and
Yeah.
okay.
And
I'm
one
okay
of the
with it.
things that's so interesting is coming from, a past of being more avoidant and still working through some of those edges. It's very common for an avoidant to feel something, kind of stuff it down, and do it very quickly, I might add. So you almost don't even fully consciously recognize your own patterns or your own feelings. And then, what you don't recognize that follows is that then because you're feeling a certain way and you built that invisible wall with those feelings, then you drift. And so I'm curious, just looking back at that moment, do you remember what you did? Did you sort of drift away a little bit or just kind of not go around that topic?
I basically accepted it, and I accepted her reasoning behind it, and but I didn't think it was worth bringing up. I don't think we had too much discussion about it. I didn't think it was worth bringing up to have an argument about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's really beautiful, and I'm curious if this resonates for you, is one thing that you did a really good job of doing in our discussion was sharing his inner world openly. Like, oh, this is what came up for me. This is what I'm feeling or needing. And really getting into that, because I was saying, you having been fearful avoidant want to deeply know their partner. They want to understand what you're feeling. They want to know your inner world. And they see that as a connection to intimacy emotionally. Like, oh, I know you. And I think maybe from your perspective, you come a little bit from a place of, I don't want to have an argument, and that caused a distancing between us. But if there's this automatic distancing that happens even just subtly, but consistently over time from things you never said, it probably hurts your need for intimacy even more. Like, you'd almost rather know what he's feeling around things and be able to talk them through and hash them out than just see distance and not really know why. Is that fair?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there were so many times when I could read him, whether body language or the eyes, kind of going up and making a look or something, or walking away from me, like whether he was a little angry at me or upset with me, but he wouldn't say anything. He'd just walk away. So I was kind of like, oh, I want to have a fight with you or something.
Yeah.
But then I would retreat too, because it's like, well, it's obviously not worth it. I mean, we'd just go
Separate ways. And when you can tell that Steve is feeling a certain way, like a little frustrated or a little bit of tension, and he walks away, what comes up for you? What do you feel in those moments? Because I think this will be important to give Steve some context.
Well, it's almost like there's no value in sharing the emotion or the feeling, because either it's not as important, or giving me the feedback of what you're feeling, and then what mine might be a result of it, or it's like a communication that isn't dealt with, and then it feels kind of like dismissive. So it's like, okay, well, it's not.
And you're probably there trying to avoid conflict by dismissing it. Like, okay, I just don't want to have a problem between us, so I'll just walk away. But when you get dismissed, what do you tend to feel or make that mean about you?
Yeah, I'm not important enough to,
To talk
to work through whatever it is, or share the feeling or the emotion, to try to work through a situation. So it's like, another little door that's been closed, and not developing, because we know that conflict really, I mean, we know now, but the conflict will lead to more intimacy. And that's what, sometimes you want that, but don't recognize at the moment that it's, the best thing to be doing.
Yes. And it's not always easy
No.
either.
Yeah.
And when you make that situation mean I'm not important, I feel dismissed, I want to talk, but I feel like, okay, I can't. How do you then behave? What's your theme there?
Maybe you can answer that better than me. I don't. I isolate.
Yeah.
Typically, just isolate. Then I'd, go outside and work in the garden, or do something that, let the steam roll a little bit and build a little bit, and then, compartmentalize, and I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to bring it up later, and it's just going to blow up, and
Yeah. Yeah. And waiting because it's not resolved.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. It's very human. And I'm very interested, and we're just sort of noticing the themes first before we dig into them. But when you avoid conflict, I would love to hear your relationship to it. Is it about you feeling like Lisa's not important to you, or is it that you feel like, I don't want to have a fight and distance from her because I care about her and I don't want to have something worse between us? Like, what is your relationship in those moments where you do feel frustrated and you walk away? Is it a not knowing what to do instead, or?
Yeah, it's not worth the argument, not knowing, not having the learned how to have that conversation, or approach and talk about the conflict.
Yeah.
So it's a lack of knowledge, and
Kind of a learned helplessness a little bit.
right. And then, like I say, it's easier just to let it go.
Seem to put it to the
Yeah.
side. And maybe in the short term.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And when you say it's not worth having the conversation, is that a reflection of you feeling like Lisa's not worth having the conversation with? Or what are you afraid happens when you say it's not worth having to have the conflict? Clearly, to me, you're seeing the conflict as having a negative consequence, and that's why you're trying to avoid it. So what are you afraid happens if you do have the conflict?
I think part of it would be me recognizing that, I'm not good enough, or I'm failing in certain aspect, and I don't want to feel that way. I want her to see me as the strong man, the strong lover man, and again, just not knowing how to broach that subject in that argument.
So I hear like all those times over the years that you avoided conflict was maybe to protect Lisa's perception of you a little bit.
That's good.
and to, you know, also not feel hurt because there's that not good enough wound that you maybe carry around a little bit. And there's a part of wanting to not feel that way. And then also just feeling like if I do, I don't know how I would do it exactly.
Yeah.
And so those three things kind of come together and it leads to one only outcome that's open to you, which is to move away from it. Does that resonate?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what would you usually think instead? You would go into, well, he doesn't even care about me enough to have the conflict. And you sort of saw it through that lens instead, I imagine.
Yeah, that it's, you know, when you feel something's important and needs a discussion and then it doesn't happen, then it kind of feels like you're not being validated, you're not heard, not listened to. And I mean, he's always been very good. Like if I would come home from work and, you know, I'd gab on about like the stress of the day or whatever, he's a good listener about that. But then it would be different if there was a conflict that related to us and a disagreement. And that's where you kind of feel, again, that dismissiveness of you know, it's, you know, you're not facing what needs to be talked about because you don't want to have a heated argument. And
So let's actually start here. I was going to go into specific conflicts, but I actually want to talk about just the idea that there's a walking away from conflict. And then I know that causes you to turn away as well. And let's just work on this first piece. So is there a recent time that this happened where there was a walking away, a moving away from a conflict that you can think of? It doesn't even have to be that recent. It can be just anything that comes to mind.
The first thing that popped to my mind was from time to time I would try to get inside her shell and to her to tell me how she felt about something. And I obviously wasn't very good at it, but also I would get, you know, I don't really want to share about that. So I wasn't able to penetrate that barrier. So after a few times of that, you know, I kind of gave up. Well, she's not going to share. You know, I'm not going to bother to ask anymore.
And do you have a moment where you decided to give up, or do you have a moment that you tried that comes to mind, like a very specific one?
I remember sitting at the kitchen table, and we're sitting there in Royal Palm, and you were at the one end. I was sitting next to you, and she was obviously upset about something. I don't remember what, but then and I didn't know what I had done, and so, you know, what did I do? Or can you tell me, you know, what are you feeling? You're irritated about something, you know, and basically she said she didn't want to talk about it.
You're about to see me start finding exactly the painful meaning that Steve has given to situations. Because even dismissive avoidants who may not feel as intensely flustered or emotional over things, they are also giving different situations in their lives meaning as well. And they're just a little bit quicker to shut down how they feel and move in a different direction to cope a lot more efficiently.